When we engage with the topic of unconscious bias, then we are often concerned with the architecture of the brain, with neuroscience, with finding general thinking patterns that can be applied independent of cultural context, time and space. But to what extent does culture matter in these discussions? Mahzarin Banaji is one of the leading scientists in the field of unconscious bias, and she once said that unconscious bias is the thumbprint of culture on our brain. I really like this quote because for me it summarizes unconscious bias in a nutshell. Yes, it is about biology. Yes, it is about the architecture of our brain, but unconscious bias is also the product of our surroundings. It is not created in a vacuum, but in a particular cultural context. And this particular cultural context teaches us with which differences matter or should matter and which differences don't. In some cultures, such as Indian culture, the category caste matters, whereas in Western context it is meaningless. Rather than seeing caste, we are trained to see social class. So culture defines which differences should matter to us, and with a lot of training and repetition, we internalize these categories. And then we go on to scan our environment along these lines of difference. And with a lot of training, we do this so well that we do it instantaneously. And these lines of differences seem natural to us. We do not feel their constructed nature anymore. But culture doesn't only teach us which differences matter, it shows us also how these different identities are performed correctly. In other words, how we need to behave, what is valued high and what is valued low. For example, if you grew up in a culture that places high value on individual achievement, you might unconsciously favor individuals that exhibit traits associated with self-reliance and independence. Conversely, if you are from a culture that values collective effort and community, you might unconsciously favor individuals who demonstrate teamwork and collaboration. So you see, it's not that one or the other is per se better, but how we view it and what we expect of others is deeply shaped by my own cultural background. Cross-cultural awareness training aims to equip employees in multicultural work environments with the necessary tools to break down cultural barriers. Aaron Meyer's book, The Culture Map, for instance, presents 8 scales that represent different aspects of culture, such as communication, evaluating, leading, deciding, trusting, disagreeing, scheduling, and persuading. Each of these scales highlights how cultural norms shape how we interact with others. For instance, in some cultures, direct communication is valued high, while in others, indirect communication is the norm. These differences can lead to misunderstandings and biases if we are not aware of them. One of the key takeaways from Meyer's book is that our cultural context influences our perceptions and expectations. When we grow up in a particular cultural environment, we develop a set of implicit norms and values that guide our behavior. These norms become so ingrained in us that we often assume they are universal, when in fact they are not. Understanding the link between unconscious bias and culture is crucial for fostering an inclusive work environment. By recognizing that our biases are not just personal quirks, but are deeply rooted in our cultural context, we can take steps to mitigate their impact. This awareness can lead to more thoughtful and deliberate actions in our personal and professional lives.